Did Black Wednesday result in the demise of the Black consciousness movement? And why did most black journalists bear the brunt of the apartheid regime's clampdown on the media? Why was the BCM opposed to the so-called independence of Bantustans? And to what extent did Steve Biko's death contribute to the banning of newspapers and arrest of BCM activists? What time is it? It's question time. Khotsong, Kurula, and Muraro, welcome to the show. My name is Bophuthatswana. As the country marks the 40th anniversary of Black Wednesday, it is of importance to reflect on the political climate at the time. Political activists say the apartheid regime started to feel the heat following the 1976 Student Uprisings. The death of Black consciousness movement leader Steve Biko on 12 September 1977 only added fuel to fire. The BCM was very active in the 70s, and it played a crucial role in keeping the hopes and dreams for the freedom of the black masses alive. The BCM was also vehemently opposed to the so-called independence of the Bantustans and viewed it as the balkanization of the country. A number of black consciousness organizations attended a meeting in Hammanskraal in June 1977 to work out strategies to frustrate the independence of Bophuthatswana. They resolved to write a letter to Lucas Mangope detailing why they were opposed to the homeland system. Therefore, the banning of several popular newspapers and 17 BCM-aligned organizations on October 19, 1977 was a reaction by the regime to suppress the most popular voices at the time. We are live, therefore you can call us and air your views. The numbers to dial 089-110-4210. Our international number +27 8911042110. Twitter handle at QuestionTime24. Now, my guest today is Libon Mabasa. He's a BCM stalwart or veteran, whatever. I don't know which one it is, but
that's okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Diani Libon Mabasa, welcome to the show. We appreciate you making time to talk to us. You were there when these organizations were banned.
Yeah,
Let's go back memory lane.
Yeah, I think it was one of the most traumatic period, which was preceded, of course, by the June 16 uprising, the murder of Mapetla Mohapi, the murder of Steve Biko, and just the general madness that had descended upon the apartheid regime. I wake up in the morning. I used to work for the South African Council for Higher Education Trust, Circuit Trust, which that I had been forced out of teaching because of police harassment and detention and so on. So it's true, I didn't even have a radio at home. The plight of black people. In the morning I'm told that the police had been to my place, but I had just moved away. I was no longer staying at home, so I wasn't at home. I go to work, and there was a lady from North Geseg, Vesta Smith, Nerimurata. We all refer to her as Ma Vesta. And Ma Vesta says, "Laibon ngwanaka, utlere gore ba re go etsagetseng." And I say, "Ma Vesta, kwena o re boleletseng taba tsa Steve Biko re bolailwe go seng." Now, what is actually happening? No, we no more have any organization. The organizations are not they are banned.
This is Kruger.
Jimmy Kruger. Yeah, Ari. Openly the organizations are not unkile the properties are not all our offices are raided, the collection and thing in Kilwe. If there was any money in the bank account in Kilwe, and suddenly I was looking and say, 1960 is coming back on us. And you could feel the hopelessness of people. How do we go forward from here? Arsana, the organization, we no longer have a voice of our own, and that was that. And I then rushed to the BPC offices to surkan nitin to even before ki fit like yabona ki there are police cars all over the place. I turned and went back, and this was real. Now obviously we are faced with the challenge Ahuri. Who has survived the dragnet? Thing, what are we going to do with the situation? And I gave myself that little bit of responsibility. Check people up. Film Tim Cool, who was a journalist, the UBJ, Limme, Jubi Mayet, but we were saying like, nah, they didn't know, though I think they knew that UBJ has been banned, and by the way, UBJ before the account is frozen. And now, the police are looking for them for stealing state money. UBJ, but it now belongs to the state. And it was general that situation. And we checked people up who is surviving. I found a lot of people who either they were not home or they were out doing service in different places. People like Bujekis Libe, Sandile Mazibuko, John Koelani, Tami Mazwai, a whole lot of people, ourselves, Litsati Musala. And I then said, maybe we then have to meet and see, where do we go from here? And remember, it was shortly after the death of
Biko.
Mangaliso Sobukwe.
Oh, okay.
So we are in that, Biko, and Mangaliso Sobukwe was going to die in Feb, and the Committee of 10, which has been organizing, particularly in Johannesburg around community issues, Leona, Bari Batseribo Motlana, Botandisizo Mazibuko, and it was such a difficult situation.
But how did you keep the flames burning?
I can tell you that very same day, lots of people were phoning and saying, hey, you guys don't be emotional, don't try to do anything, otherwise people are going to stay in jail for a very long time. And a little we cannot guarantee or tell you what's going to happen to you. And it was a very difficult situation. But I convened a meeting for Shawela Lutheran Church 5 days after the burning. And a lot of people came, the Black Priest Solidarity Group, and just a lot of people, who were about 50, 60, Libonabu Sandile, Masibuko came, Jekis Libi, just about everybody who had survived and was within reach came to that meeting. And the first question was, what do we do from here? Do we indeed take the advice hearing of a political organization has come to an end? Let us all go underground and let's not attract undue attention to ourselves because we don't know. And at the end of the meeting, we agreed that whatever else we do, one, we set up a committee to deal with the immediate challenges of community councils and whatever. And this committee of 10, the Soweto Action Committee was set up with Ishmael Mkabele as its chairperson and a lot of activists as part of it. And another committee was set up to say, look at national possibilities. And I was given that responsibility to go around, check out with people, and we should look at national possibilities.
Okay.
I think the prompt response took away the initiative from Jimmy Kruger because immediately he banned the organization. For the 5 days even before the meeting, he was warning about regrouping, that they will deal ruthlessly with those who regroup, who were regrouping. But all the same, we did just that. We regrouped, and 5 months later, we formed the Azanian People's Organization under very difficult, challenging situations.
Who are some of the prominent people who were part of the
No, if we talk about people who came and you say you want to choose their prominent, Tutu was there, Bishop Tutu was there at the convention, Ntate Motlana was there at the convention, Reverend Likhotlo, the same man who took Botsietsi le Bopani to cross the border to Botswana was there. Rachitanga was there, George Nekota was there, and of course almost the entire crew of the UBJ, Union of Black Journalists, who had also suffered greatly because of these burnings, were there, and lots of other comrades, Ketlam Tembu, Pule Pule, and a whole lot of people were there, and actually were able to attract people in a national base to that meeting at St. Ansgar's, where we were going to form, or where we were going to discuss the possibility of forming a new political organization. And maybe what was important, a national anthem is sung. And immediately they sing a song which I thought was very positive. Sechaba se kopaning libitsong la tukulugo. Sefate se se jwadilweng tiang matla ke a lona. Rona a re tshabi go kena ditšhankane nge lefu a re le tshabi mosebetsi wa Biko o phethilwe tiang matla ko a rona. So the attitude was, we give no inch to the regime. We continue as if our banner and move forward. Now,
somehow, one would have expected that Jimmy Kruger's intention, was to kill activism. There was a lull prior to the 76 uprising. Now, this re-energized community was obviously posing a security threat to the country.
That's why he acted against us within 3 days of the formation of AZAPO. All of us were arrested, and we spent close to 9 to 10 months in prison. First 7 months under Section 6 of the Terrorism Act, then transferred to Section 10 of Internal Security. And literally, we were actually almost completely disorganized because we are Twaragao Fela, and it was a difficult thing. But I think we were extremely determined because immediately, almost the same week, we reorganized people again and say, how do we move forward?
But that's one thing, I did raise this in our intro. Your opposition to Bantustans and, Bantustan leaders, you were so committed to that cause. The Honorable Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi has a story to tell.
Oh, well, basically because black consciousness started reorganizing black people in a completely different framework. If you would remember, the historical organizations would allow people to be organized in their Indian Congress, their colored Congress, their Congress of Democrats, and the African National Congress. And the Black Consciousness Movement said, first and foremost, organize collectively together those who suffer directly under this yoke. So our definition of black moved away from the amount of melanin in one's skin, the texture of one's eye, or the color of one's. We were able to say, you didn't choose to be called colored. Somebody chooses to call you colored. You are part of the black consciousness movement. We organized the Indians, the colored, the Africans in one solid organization, and we developed a political term to describe them, to describe all those who suffered under the yoke of oppression, those who were away from the means of production, and we call these people black people.
Let's go to, is it Lucas in Begersfort?
Yes,
welcome. Nda Lucas. Butsange. Nda.
Look, the comrade you are with there in the studio.
Yes.
He is really a veteran. Those are comrades that we can call veterans that fought for freedom that we are enjoying now. Not the likes of who just claim to be veterans. Those who claim to have fought for this freedom. And I acknowledge that, and I wish, and it's my wish to say, you must always, maybe once in a month, bring those kind of people so that we I mean, the history of freedom fighters have been distorted, you know. So those are people that we can trust to say whatever they are saying there, because you see yourself that you explain everything that you went through. You know? Yeah.
Lucas, thank you very much. Lucas, they're calling us from Bakersford. Well, somehow I knew that KB was going to be brought in there. But anyway, so let's talk about the stance on Bantustans.
Bantustans were the instruments of dividing our people. The Black Conscious Movement had united black people, particularly of African descent. There was a time where it would have been anathema to stand and say, I'm 100% Zulu. I'm 100% Ndishumela Fatila Venda. Or any such things, because we thought our lots belonged together. And white people had created artificial minorities, because once you are Venda and you are on your own, you are a little minority there, you are Tsonga, you are a little minority there, you are and they then created themselves as this one huge majority that is defined as white people. And if we were to accept Bantustan, accept the division of our land, that if you are from Venda, your dome pass will be stamped 10-1 E, I think, or D, which means for you to come to Johannesburg, you'd need a special permission, and that permission will limit the time you are supposed to be in Johannesburg, and it applied to all the homelands. So the cities belonged to white people, and would come here, though we built them, would come here by their permission. And we were rejecting the fact that the homeland or Bantustan leaders were accepting this balkanization of our people, these divisions amongst our people, and not to find common cause in our blackness and the commonness of our struggle.
Let's go to Randburg. Is it Mukati?
Hi, Mbo.
Hi, welcome.
How are you?
I'm well. I didn't get your name.
It's Mukadi.
Mukadi.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mbo, I think one needs to commend the comrade that you are with there.
Yes.
We need this kind of political education. Not always hear of the corruption, the state capture, and so on and so forth. I think one question that I would need to pose to the comrade: what is his view with the current situation that is happening? I'm one of the people who loves Steve Biko with all my heart. I really like Steve Biko, and I just want to hear the view of the comrades there. What is his view in terms of what is happening in South Africa now?
Okay.
With the president, the ANC, and so on and so forth. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Well, I think my comment would be that it's not like we are caught napping. We don't understand why. We had warned many years ago, from the time when the Black Conscious Movement refused to participate in the CODESA talks,
yes,
that if there is to be negotiations should be about substantial issues, which would have included land, which would have included the economy, which should have included the particular position of black people vis-a-vis black disadvantage as against white privilege and position. But at that time, those things were not discussed, and now they are coming back to haunt us from all direction. If the president says, yes, black people need land, I would say he's right, but that, I think, the ABC of the ANC should have included that in 1990 through negotiations up till when it was signed in the dotted line. It didn't. I always say when substantial issues were brought onto the agenda for discussion at CODESA, the white people had a simple strategy: introduce violence in the black community, and black community will say, no, anything, date the elections. So we got the date of elections, we had an election, but the reality is, what did we have in hand? What is it that we had won on the round table? We had not won anything.
Do you think Jimmy Kruger succeeded in silencing the voice of the BCM? Well, probably not immediately, but today it appears.
It's a very interesting question. We always say Jimmy Kruger and the apartheid regime were not able to prevail against the Black consciousness movement. It's elements within our own community and our own organizations that have succeeded in lowering the flag of the BCM and allowing it to fly half-mast.
Well, they haven't managed to kill Biko. I mean, Biko has survived his death, but
of course, yes. I've even had a rumor that for 1919, the ANC will not campaign using Mandela and whoever. They will actually use Steve Biko. That's how strong Steve Biko has been.
Well, that's a rumor, as you say.
Of course, I've said it's a rumor, but who remains, who is extremely credible, who will not be questioned by the youth, like the students, who will not be questioned by anybody. We used to sing, you would remember the song, and we think that remains in place.
So, would you have a problem if any other organization was to use Biko?
We will have a problem if they want to use Biko in the manner in which will be un-Biko-ish. We know what Biko stood for, we know what Biko died for, and anybody who lifts Biko would have to lift together the flag that is represented by Biko and his life.
Your movement was hosted for many years by Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean the BCMA, yeah, our sister organization at the time?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think? How do you feel about the state of Zim?
The state of Zim, I've always said, I've come here and said it's a very complicated issue. Because it's true that Zimbabwe is in a situation where it is now. But it's not one big accident which imperialism has nothing to do with it. When they made them agree to Lancaster Agreement and did not honor the elements of Lancaster Agreement, they introduced the IMF and structural adjustments. Like every other developing country, they knew that at the end it will end up the way it is in Zimbabwe.
So you do not blame it on ZANU-PF?
ZANU-PF might just be a player, but which country has survived that kind of setup in the world? Even the most revolutionary parties like the Sandinistas and so on, once you are put in that situation, no doubt in time your structures are going to collapse. So it's not, I have never supported President Mugabe as a person, but I have supported the revolution that was taking place in Zimbabwe, the country which was the bread basket, and people are right, which was the bread basket of Africa, the country which did not have the greatest number of cattle. You know, Botswana is the second largest beef producing country in the world, but people used to move from Botswana to go and buy meat in Zimbabwe because the way things were arranged in Zimbabwe, it was a situation which was workable. But since those times and all what is happening now, Zimbabwe indeed is becoming a failed state.
Laban Mabasa, thank you very much for making time to talk to us on this day.
Thank you.
That was Laban Diani Mabasa, and that was Question Time for today. A big thank you to you and for watching the show, that is, and to my guests as well. From me and the entire crew, have yourself a wonderful time. I'm Bophuthatswana.